Hello, Ducks fans, hockey fans in Orange County, California, the United States, Finland, and all over the world. Happy Thursday, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening on where you're from and watching this video right now. Okay, so let's start with the topic at hand of this video. The NHL trade deadline was held on the 12th of April of 2021, with rumors and speculation on what the Ducks will be doing, what they needed to do, what trades they have to do, what players were rumored to be on the move in the roster, from Rickard Rakell to Josh Manson, Jakob Silverberg, to Hampus Lindholm, to Adam Henrique, all the way to recent players rumored to be moved from Danton Heinen for Jake Vertan, all the way to the Ducks captain Ryan Getzlaf. Now, with all this chatter going on that day, and many of us were hoping and suspecting and maybe wondering, and again, as we hope, the Ducks may, of course, pull the trade and ensure the team has that much needed roster shakeup that our Ducks so badly need right now, due in part of how the season has been going and how the team has been floundering, falling short, and not able to finish games in the past few weeks or finish games where they were in the lead. Now, like many of you, I'm frustrated, I'm annoyed, and I'm hoping something can change. And by the trade deadline on the 12th of April, let's just say I am not surprised, yet not impressed with how the moves were made right now. As of right now, the Ducks sent Yanni Hakapa to Carolina for Hayden Fleury, from a left-handed defenseman from Carolina. So they got another defenseman, which really not too sure how that would balance out. But then again, he's 24 years old. Was drafted in the first round around, say, a few years ago. So you could say you were going to give him this guy another chance. He was, quote, lost in the shuffle in the Carolina Hurricanes depth charts. But who knows what Bob Murray meant by that. Another player left was Ben Hutton, who was signed recently in January and was designed to fill out the team in a depth role. So he was sent to Toronto for a 5th round pick in the 2022 NHL draft. Those two trades, what more I can say than to be very honest with you, and most of you will agree, it's your standard Ducks typical MO. Modus operandi. You usually do this when to strengthen the team through depth, and to ensure, once again, the developing within strategy, which has basically been part of this team's DNA since 1993. So some call it a failure, others call it your typical Ducks trade deadline moves, acquisitions. Basically you make trades that just benefit in the long run. So personally, in my own honest opinion, the Ducks making these trades, sending Yanni Hakapa to Carolina for Hayden Fleury, Ben Hutton to Toronto for a 5th round pick, and then not to mention, like a few weeks ago, the Ducks send prospect Anton Moran to Tampa Bay for two-way winger Alexander Volkov, a Russian, of all surprises. So it basically surprised me first, because considering the Ducks don't seem to like Russians or draft Russians or trade for Russians in the past few years. So this, in my opinion, gives us a message, gives us a clear path of what this team is doing right now. So, like, to be honest with you, like deep down in my heart, and you can agree with me on this one, that this season has been trial and error. Trial and error, which we hope it would never be this way, but it has. It had to be this way. But I mean, not like in a failure kind of way, but it was a trial and error because it was a mixture of mishaps, mismanagement, as many Ducks fans have said, to um, questions on leadership of Bob Murray and of head coach Dallas Aikens. I mean, signing one free agent a few months ago, like Kevin Shattenkirk, and go with this win now mentality, did not produce or did not give us the results or what we hope for this team going for. I mean, like many of you, I was hoping this team would hit the ground running, just like in the last short season the Ducks had. It was 2012, 2013 when they made a sprint to the Stanley Cup playoffs, but lost out in the first round. So I guess we have so much going on. We have to look at the big picture in regards to the trades and from that was set on the 12th of April and the acquiring of Alexander Volkov a few weeks before. I mean, it's very clear to us that the Ducks front office knows that this team is flawed. This team has a lot of weak points that should have been addressed before the puck drop. But then again, of course, when you have a willful stubbornness in the front office and some ignorance, we got the team we got now. So you can call this season a loss. And you can call it what it is. But in the long run, this season has been, as I say, trial and error. You go with a trial, you go with not changing roster, add one player in, see what happens. And of course, the Ducks are at the bottom of the division and near the bottom of the NHL in league overall. I mean, to me personally, this trade deadline day that the Ducks had, they had the potential, they had the opportunity to do something, but they chose not to. They chose not to. There were talks on Manson, there were talks on Raquel, there were rumors on Henrique, there were rumors on Troy Terry, Dan Heinen, and all the way up to Ryan Getzlaf. I mean, there was rumors on that, and there was also many of us wanting some sort of change. I mean, the Ducks made their demands known. I mean, they want a first round pick, a top prospect, and clearly players didn't seem to bite. Players didn't want, excuse me, teams didn't want to bite. Whether it's the challenging times we face, the flat salary cap. Right now, altogether, it's basically the Ducks missed an opportunity to do something. They missed an opportunity and a potential to give this team a roster shakeup, and we didn't seem to do that. They didn't seem to do that in a very active way, that requires an active GM to know what players they want. Okay. Do I want the Ducks to make some trades that would have at least shake things up, revitalize the team, revitalize the fan base? I mean, hit the spark that would enable the process of rebuild and rejuvenation to advance about a few levels and to ensure the development of our youth be taking the next step. Absolutely. It's really frustrating now that at the way things are going, I know most of you are wanting that number one pick. And as you know in my previous video, I don't believe in tanking. So, I mean, with all this talk, okay, You would think that the Ducks GM, Bob Murray, would do something, but instead he chose to make some excuses, make some like remarks that many of us are debating or wondering, and whether or not if his judgment, Murray's judgment, is still needed, or his role as a GM would be a hindrance to the Ducks in the long run. Apparently to me and apparently to others, he has basically dropped the ball again for this trade deadline. Whether you agree with me or not, I mean, he has shown literally a lack of action, a lack of purpose. You know, yes, he has made some good trades in the past, but those trades didn't turn out what we want, what we see in our team. All we see is basically an abundance of prospects with a lot of potential, some veterans, but we have not focused and utilized the value of players to get back the prospects, the young players, the dynamic players that our team needs right now. I mean, would I would like to see the Ducks make a big trade? Yeah, absolutely. I would. Well, it's very clear to us and very clear to me that when you have a GM that's so timid, people want to know, or people are questioning, is it time to make a change? And I believe that, and I hate to sound like a broken record, his time as a Ducks GM is up and will be coming to a close. But what can you do? What can you do? I mean, as much as we have been venting and ranting and debating on the Ducks message board, on Facebook, on Twitter, and even on Instagram, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, our roster is still the same roster we have, but there comes a point in time that a hockey GM, a Ducks hockey GM, would have make important trades to do two things. One, improve the team. Two, help the development of the youth. And three, jumpstart this team and its fan base. Light the spark, light the excitement. And on Monday, Bob Murray doesn't seem to do all these, except for making minor trades. Now, many of you speculate maybe the Samuelis probably are just tying his hands behind our back. Who knows? It comes down to a few things. July of this year, the NHL expansion draft will be held in July. The free agent frenzy will be held in the offseason, and as well as the NHL draft. Now, here's my own opinion on this, on why Bob decides to go the old traditional route, as we call it now, because depth trades have always been the Ducks' MO. So don't be horrified by it. We know that this is part of the team's DNA since their founding, since day one, when the Ducks started playing in 1993. And my own personal belief is that Bob Murray is probably waiting in the offseason, waiting for the season to conclude in a few weeks to do some sort of reevaluation. Or hopefully he resigns, or maybe the Samuelis can ask him to step down, but who knows? I think it's very clear that with the expansion draft coming along, because the expansion draft is Seattle's expansion draft will be held in the month of July. So you know as much as I do the Ducks will have some many hard decisions to make. And I'm, as much as you know, they can't have the same repeat of the same mistakes they had when letting a young, promising defenseman named Shea Theodore be left unprotected and be picked by the Vegas Golden Knights. So it comes down to the decision to basically, if I was a Ducks GM and I see Seattle wanting to make a break, to assemble a team, I would basically the first one to come up to them and say, "Hey, Seattle, you wanna? I hear you want to be assembling a team for the expansion draft. How about we make a deal? You know, as the season as our season comes to a close, we can call this season a failure. We can call it a train wreck, but I call it basically a disappointment. I mean, I'll be the first one to say I had high hopes for this team to just hit the ground running. But with the trade deadline now in the books and the Ducks' inaction and Bob Murray's failure of not moving certain pieces to get important parts like important prospects or picks or players that we need to improve this team for next season. And yes, I'm thinking about next season, as so should you. I can only see this team get improved in an offseason through a few things. One, through the NHL draft. Two, the free agent frenzy. And three, the Seattle expansion draft. Now, we will lose a player in the expansion draft. As I said before, the Ducks will have to make some tough decisions. If they have to lose a player, they might have to lose a player. But in the long-term run, in the long-term goal, I would rather have the Ducks make a trade or make a deal with Seattle to ensure some sort of win-win scenario, a win-win for them and a win-win for us. If they want to pick a player, then from us, the Ducks should ask for either a draft pick or basically a player that Seattle has taken in the draft to be sent to us for, say, a player we want. Say, for example, like, say if Seattle picks a player from us, okay, an unprotected player, say Hayden Fleury, then Seattle could send a second round pick to our Ducks for, say, like Josh Manson and Hayden Fleury, and I'm just making a prediction. So, or just either way, just giving you a scenario of what I think could happen, but yeah, I could understand that many of you are frustrated, and many of you vent and try to look at why the Ducks missed this opportunity. It was an opportunity to improve. It was an opportunity to ensure that the continuity of this team that was almost flawed can be like woken up by like some big trades, and sadly it didn't happen. It didn't happen. But is this like like a frustration? Yes, it is. It is. Is it sad? No. But personally, for me, being a passionate Ducks fan all the way in the East Coast, I mean, I'm not surprised by this. I'm not surprised that the Ducks would basically make depth moves. I mean, as I said before, it's in their DNA. It's part of their MO. I mean, keep in mind that during the winding days of each season they have fought and battled in, the Ducks would always make depth trades to like shore up the roster, but also give the younger guys a chance to hone their skills, learn from the older veterans and from the new depth players coming in to back them up, and also maybe like form some sort of camaraderie. So either way, I can just say to you right now that as disappointed as we are, as frustrated and annoyed we are at Bob's lack of progress in recent trade deadlines, it goes to show you that, yeah, he needs to go. He needs to be either relieved of his duties or step down. So who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what's going to happen once the final game is played and the final buzzer ends? So we're basically coming down to like the end of this short season. So as many of us will reflect and like wondered, and for me, I will do a year in review. Well, not a year in review, like a season in review about the mistakes our Ducks have made and going forward of what they need to do to improve. So that's more I can do and more I have to say. So until then, I'll see you guys soon. Go Ducks.